Fluffy, I look at you and I see all the success that you have accomplished. And I look back and I'm like, okay, we didn't have that presence that we have now. You really didn't see no people that look like us on TV.
I had every opportunity to go back to my day job. I was evicted from my apartment. My car was about to get repoed. It does not make sense. So every single thing said, dude, what are you doing? Go back to work. Go back to your regular day job.
There has to be something there that didn't allow you to quit. So like, what was that determining factor that was like, no, I'm gonna keep doing this shit?
I loved being a comic.
How did you end up on Coco, bro?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what you were gonna say.
This is the True Hustle Podcast with your host, JR.
This is the True Hustle Podcast with your host, JR.
So they took our horchata, our café con leche, and they Americanized it.
Yeah.
They made it a frap. That's pretty,
So,
you know?
But when people tell me, oh, it's not that it's more authentic. You know, authentic is straight up horchata, you know, with the rice and the freaking, you know, making it, that's authentic. Same thing with like
Where
the
did horchata
Mexican,
come from?
I don't even know. But
Because,
I know I've seen the menu. They got like the
I didn't
hot
grow
chocolate.
up with horchata like that. But we're from Guadalajara, so I don't know if it's from a certain region of Mexico. That's a question that I have that I don't have the answer to, because we grew up with Jamaica more. Jamaica and some limonada.
Were you born here or over there?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you go over there, then you find out like, oh shoot, you don't have that? Or what is this? Like I didn't know that burritos were more Americanized than...
They're more Americanized. You really don't see them over there. Puros tacos.
Puros tacos.
Pero tacos con tortilla a mano. You know
And
what I
then
mean?
corn, you know, it's more corn.
Yeah.
And flour. ¿Cómo que quieres, you know?
Well, if you compare a tortilla from over there to a tortilla from here, allá te las puedes comer puras.
Just like that.
Just
yeah.
like that. Here, they're not.
And then you factor in Texas, and then you're just like, okay, this is something else. This is like, I say those tortillas in Texas are like those, I call them Mexican flatbread, because you go to Subway and you see how thick the flatbread is.
It's kind of like a pita bread. Huh?
Yeah, it is. It's more pita.
So then it would be safe to say that Mexican food in LA is better than Texas food?
I'm not going to do that because I think it's all in where you're from. You're going to automatically gravitate towards what you're most comfortable with, what you grew up on. Because there's certain food out there that's like, ugh, that just is nasty. But you hear about, oh, I've been eating that since I was a kid. And that's why you don't know that it's shit. Because
that's a good point.
Because you've been eating it since you were so little. You're like, it's just, it's not just a flavor for you. It connects to your childhood. It connects to a time of early, you know, your come up. Like when I go to Australia, they have a thing called Vegemite, which is what they spread on like, you know, the bread or whatever it is. And it's just, it's horrible.
But that's why, like, when people say, I love tacos de tripa, it's very slim when people say, the margin of somebody saying, oh, los tacos de tripa are so bomb. But
it's fear factor food to some people.
But you grew up eating it, so it's bomb to you.
It's normal. It's
normal.
You don't look at it like, oh, man, I should be getting paid to eat this.
Yeah, man.
And same thing, like, you know, I got friends that are Filipinos. They eat stuff like balut, which is like that little baby duck and an egg. And you're like, you can eat that? And they're like, oh, that's delicious.
And the Filipinos have a postre called puto.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Hey,
I just found out.
All I know is I've never eaten a puto. So, never done it.
Oh,
Came close.
shit.
I drink a lot.
So if Joe Coy comes up to you and be like, hey,
nope,
I got you a...
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
That's where I draw the line. Oh, man. So there's a big show coming up. And I always think to myself, you already sold out Dodger Stadium. So that right there is a huge accomplishment. But then you just one-upped yourself, and you guys are going to have a show at the SoFi.
Like a Super Bowl. It's like a Super Bowl of comedy.
Crazy.
Because it's going to be a long show. It's gonna be all day. Because it's not just the two of us. We're also going to have special guests and stuff like that. So it's not like going to a club show or a show at the Forum.
Okay.
You know, this is, you know, we understand that because of the magnitude of it, we can't just bring a regular show. It has to be outside of the box. It has to be a one-off. So the amount of things that are going into the preparation of it, it's a lot.
And that's what I was going to ask. Like, the logistics behind that type of show. Is it stressful? Is there like a lot of behind the scenes that people don't have?
There is a ton of behind the scenes because it's not just the performance. Like I already have the material, and I've been doing this long enough where I feel comfortable on stage. But this is a different stage. It's not the regular stage that we would use for one of our arena shows. This is a stadium, so it's twice the size. The audio is twice as much, probably 3 times as much. We want to make sure that the cameras that we use, we got to double that. Everything gets doubled or tripled for this. And because you're doubling and tripling everything, every time you add more elements to it, you haven't had time to test it. Our arena shows are turnkey. They're solid. It's just, it flows. We already know what time people get there, what time people take their breaks. It's very much, we use our own team. But for a stadium, you got to bring in people. And the stressful part is you don't know how they work. You hope that they work on your level and that they're professionals and they get everything done that they're going to do. But the problem is you only get one chance to test it, and that's live. Because you can do testing 1, 2, 3 all day long, but it's not till you have people there that is the audio right, and then based on the movement of the cameras, are they keeping up the way they're supposed to?
I could just imagine. For me, I think it would be a lot of stress.
Yeah, that's why whenever I do a special, I always tape 2. I never go live, ever, because that lives forever. So even with Dodger Stadium, we were there 2 nights.
Okay.
So 2 nights so that we could, first night to just get comfortable with the idea of being in that environment. They recorded the whole thing. But then the second night, I felt like I was more, okay, I'm at ease.
So then you'll have 2 recordings, and you could combine them.
In the event of something like
something going wrong.
Yeah, because traditionally I always go with the second recording of my special. It's always the second one. There was one time where I forgot a line, and I was able to pull that one line from the first one. So that's what's really helpful about that. But being able to edit it, that's huge because when you go live, it's I don't know why people do it. If it's for excitement or just they.
Do you think only certain people could pull that type of stuff off, or it shouldn't just be, or you shouldn't just do anything live? Because anything could happen. What if there's a heckler there, or is there somebody talking?
What is the reason you're going live? You know what I mean? If that's the selling point, and you need to do that in order to get people invested in, it's live. Then that's the hook. That's the angle, and that would be the reason to do it. But otherwise, I'm looking at it like, man, when I'm dead, people are still going to look at this, and I don't need them seeing the mistake I made there. Yeah. Plus, it's a different mindset. When you go into it knowing that it's not live and you can correct it, you're more willing to open up. You're more willing to take chances because if it doesn't work out, you can fix it in post.
That makes sense.
There's always that, we'll fix it in post. Can't do that when it's live. When it's live, te chingaste. That's it. It's out. There's no putting that.
Something goes wrong.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You let it out.
Fluffy, I look at you and I see all the success that you have accomplished, and I look back and I'm like, okay, when you started in the 90s,
that just sounds crazy. That just sounds crazy.
Did everybody right now like, wow, how old is he? Did I just make you sound old?
How old is he? All right, Tata.
Well, shit, I grew up in the 90s too.
No, I know. It's a long time.
No, but my point there is, we didn't have that presence that we have now, like as Latinos, Mexican Americans. So how hard was it to come up in those trenches where you really didn't see no people that look like us on TV, people that have our roots, do big shows?
Well, growing up in the 90s, the only people that I could relate to was Paul Rodriguez. Yeah. I had met Carlos Mencia, but he still wasn't Carlos Mencia yet. And I had only heard about George Lopez. George actually was a comic that toured all over the country, and his show was very different back in the day. It was very more, a lot more mainstream and not so Latino driven. And so it wasn't until years later that it's like, oh, shoot, okay. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of people back then to really, the representation. You had to look for it. Like even on Saved by the Bell, you had Mario Lopez, but like he was Slater. I'm like, I don't know any Mexicans named Slater.
True, very true.
So I was like,
half of these people are gonna be like, Saved by the Bell, what is that?
¿Qué es eso? Yeah.
¿Qué es eso? It's one of the best shows ever.
Ever.
So,
But yeah, there wasn't a lot of people to relate to back then as far as like, okay, this is that person.
so how were you able to scale to this magnitude?
It wasn't like, okay, this is the plan. It was more so like, okay, I have a vision of just sleeping in every morning. That was the goal. I want to be able to quit my job, sleep in, and do comedy at night. And let's see what happens. And that's how everything got started. And there wasn't like, okay, it needs to go X, Y, Z. There wasn't a mindset of like, this is how it has to be until it was that. You know, the focus was, let me just go do my craft. Let me go work on being funny. Let me work on relationships. Back then, there was no social media, so you actually had to conversate with someone. You had to look at people. How are you?
To them.
You
Hey,
doing
how's it
good?
going there?
Hey,
Hey.
well, yeah. It was, I think, you know, you had to have had the gift of the gab, not just on stage, but in person. A lot of comics are very socially awkward. Like on stage, they kill it, but they try to interact with people and they shut down. And I'm like, how did you get to where you're at? You had to have had either you found someone that could speak on your behalf, or you just got lucky. But you had to be able to take a card. Back then, people had business cards. Yeah. Oh, you got a card? You know, you go to the store and you get one made at Kinko's. You go to the one. Hey, can you print this out? And you had to save numbers. You had to follow up. If someone, hey, there's a show, this and that, you couldn't just go online and you know, on IG.
It wasn't a
and be like,
DM.
blah, blah, blah.
Like, no, ni
There was
madres.
no DM.
Everything was either face to face or.
Pick up a phone, dial it.
But how would you dial before?
Pick it up. And, yeah.
yeah.
You had to be good at following up. And so a lot of those things went into what it is that I do. You know, it's like once the people started coming out to the shows, then you had to work on the business side of it. Like, okay, how do we keep them coming to the shows? What about the show is it that draws people in? Is it just the show? What's the vibe? You know, you meet people. I meet people after shows, and I ask questions. So what about the show did you like? And a lot of people would say, oh, man, you remind me of like a family member. I felt very connected. I felt like, you know, you seem very relatable. You didn't seem like someone that was so far away that it's like what's the draw here? What's the connect? And I thought that was really cool, you know. And for years, man, a lot of times the meet and greets would take twice, sometimes 3 times as long as the show itself, because I would meet every single person. And so it's just, and it wasn't like a quick, hi, let's take a selfie. Next. No. It was people wanted to tell me their life stories, and there's a line of people going down the street waiting to do that same thing. And so I feel like because I took all that time that I did, that's what I established these relationships with fans that have been coming to the shows forever. So that's why when we did Dodger Stadium, it was like, thank you. So many of you are have been following this journey forever, and now we're here. And so it's kind of like, wow, you know, that's why it was so epic that, you know.
But I think that people
proper use of the word epic.
Yeah. But I think that people that grew up in our era, you know, in the 90s and early 2000s, I think we still have that, we know the importance of building relationships, but in person, because we didn't have all these devices and gadgets, you know? And I think now people are a little bit more socially awkward because of these devices, you know, because they weren't forced to have a business card and learn how to shake somebody's hand and look them in the eyes and just have a conversation with them. You know, that's why I think...
we also didn't have as much trash talking back then because of the fact that, you know, it's a lot harder to talk smack to someone's face versus being behind a screen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, it was just very different.
You're 1,000% accurate. And I think people are just way too comfortable doing that. You could just talk shit to somebody.
Computer confidence, yeah.
You know, keyboard warriors,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. You could just say something crazy and put the phone down and go about your business. Yeah, you won't do that shit in person. You know? So I agree with you. And I think that's why the disrespect is more, how can I put it? It's more out there than when we were growing up, because it's so, technology makes it so easy for you just to say something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. So, you know, social media and like YouTube and stuff like that, it did elevate what it is that we do. because you're able to reach more people, way more people, and not just in the area, I mean, talking about nationwide and then around the world. So it's like, wow. But at the same time, if you mess up, it doesn't stay contained. It's like, all right, easy come, easy go. So
I think it has its bad things, but it has great things that you could reach the masses and you could start promoting yourself. Like as a comic, and how many comics now have gone viral on social media and done that, so it has its bad parts and it has its good parts.
The good is also bad because you can have a viral video and all of a sudden you're known around the world like that, but the problem with getting that much attention that quickly and having that much, it's too much to receive for someone who's not experienced to handle it. Because a lot of times people will get all this attention, they don't know what to do with it, and they fizzle. They like all of a sudden people want to come see them, and they don't have an actual act yet. They're not like, okay, I got this funny video that trended and went crazy, but people come out to see them, and it's like, oh, that's all you had. And so a lot of times they're not prepared for that. That's why I feel like it's important to take your time. What's the rush? If you really want this, what's the rush? Take your time, grind it out. You want to, like for me, I feel very lucky that I came along during that time where we still had to make flyers. We did have to build relationships in person. We did have to pick up a phone and follow up and, but also too, and next thing you know, there's the age of MySpace and YouTube and Facebook and all these different tools that are available. So I feel like I got lucky that I came along just in time to still be rooted, so that in the event of, I still know how to talk to people, but I appreciate these new tools to help grow my brand.
Yeah, especially that you already have, it's only going to benefit you even more because you already have everything established. For somebody like you that could utilize social media to their advantage is amazing. But I think you're right. There's some people that do go viral that life changes overnight. And I don't think they're ready. Yeah. I don't think they're prepared.
Do you live in Southern California and are you looking to buy, sell, or refinance one of your properties? What better agent to represent you than the host of True Hustle Podcast? Go ahead, give us a call or send us a text at 323-352-7946. Now let's get back to the episode, baby.
Because you're right. They don't have sets. They don't have material that they could go out there and just do their thing. It's just they did something funny and it just so happened that they popped off. But now you have to have the deliverables ready.
Yeah, the deliverables and the experience to be able to manage what it is that you're getting. If you're getting all this attention, you got to be able to do something with it. People think you just go Horchata and then that's it. I'm taking off to the races. You know what I'm saying? Think about in her case, it's like, wow, all this attention, and then she got herself in trouble, and it's only because she didn't have the experience to be able to manage that and didn't have the right people. It was just a quick in and out. No pun intended. Yeah.
And then for these young people that have no idea how to deal with it's a lot to deal with, period. So their coping skills aren't there yet. You know what I'm saying? And that's when they start, Horchata, boom, and then all of a sudden,
what are you gonna do?
Cagas, dude, take advantage of these opportunities, but I don't think they're equipped with it yet.
And that's why I say that with technology, having the ability to download and look things up, yes, you can find information instantly, but you can't download life experience. You can't download moments of failure and struggle and grinding, because that takes time. That's not something that you can learn in 5 minutes, and I think that you need failure, you need the grind, you need to be tested and pushed and made to feel like, all right, if you want something bad enough, are you willing to navigate through all of these obstacles that need to be there, because that just makes you stronger and helps you learn from your mistakes so that you don't repeat them later. And once you get to a certain place, you've already gone through all that, so that when you do get an opportunity, you know you don't want to waste that. You know that you don't want to screw that up. So you act accordingly.
Yeah, I agree. I think, for me, speaking for myself, I think the mistakes that I've made have taught me so much, and I think being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, being a comic, I think you need to fail early. You need to fail early so you can learn. So I think those are the biggest life lessons sometimes, you know what I mean? So I think for me, I made tons of mistakes. And I'm like, okay, I can't do that shit no more. Like, that taught me so much.
But I think you got to still be open to the idea of failure if you still want to grow.
Absolutely.
If you get to a certain place and you're like, I'm comfortable here, this is okay, I don't need any more, I don't need any less, I just need to maintain, then by all means, keep doing what you've been doing and don't deviate from that, because clearly that worked out for you.
Yeah.
But I think anyone who strives to get to a certain goal, once you achieve that goal, you still have that fire in you where now what? Not okay, we did this. Now what other vein are we going to go into to try to get to another place? Mm-hmm. But if you're going to go to that other place, know now that it's new territory, and with new territory comes chances that you have to take in order to master that. So you're going to continue to fail, and you got to be willing to accept and be cool with more failure. You know, you got to break some eggs to make that omelet. So you got to know that, all right, this is a different vein. So like, for example, in comedy, feel pretty confident in that. But let's say I were to get into a podcast. I don't know everything that goes into a podcast. Mm-hmm. Let's say I were to get into, some type of social media. I mean, I'm pretty savvy with social media, but there's still stuff I don't know yet. And to try to go into other avenues, like even with acting, you know, it's like, acting's cool to say that you're an actor, but there's so much work that goes into it, and it's draining. And I'm like, oh, it's not fun for me. And so I don't pursue it as much as I'd like to. And I just know that my time, I enjoy being in front of a live audience more than I enjoy being in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you got to be willing to take it on the chin, and you're gonna make mistakes if you try to do different things, but you got to be okay with it.
How did you overcome some of those obstacles? Because sometimes when people do deal with certain issues, it's easier to give up. Like, it's way easier to give up.
Absolutely. And you know, people don't like feeling uncomfortable. Once you're okay, your rent's paid, and your bills are paid, and everything that you're doing works, and you're like, okay, everything's good. People are afraid to let that go. People are afraid to risk the comfort that they have. And if you're afraid to risk that comfort, then it makes it harder for you to go for those other things. You know what I mean? And then if you factor in, I was lucky that I was single and I didn't have a kid or nothing like that. So I'm doing this, it's just me. A lot of times, you know, people have families that depend on them. And how are you going to risk their livelihood? Because it's not just you. You know, you got to worry about everyone else. So it's a lot harder to take chances when more people depend on you.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's like,
because now people depend on you. So
I've had friends that have tried, and their significant other was like, look, unless it's going to pay for the rent, your kids, your medical insurance, and this and this and that, you know, they don't see it as like something that's you know, a good gamble. You know, and I just think it makes it harder. So there is people that will give up because doing what I'm doing already takes care of this, and maybe I could just make this other thing a hobby. Yeah. But, you know, you'll never know how good you could have been, but clearly there's certain things you can't risk.
You think some of those people, I think regret will weigh heavy. If you know you had the talent and you could have just stuck with it and
had the kids like, Dad, how come you didn't go for it? Because of you, pendejo. Because of you, Mister. I want my Transformers. You quiero cable. You let chingada.
You wanted to go to private school.
Yeah.
But, you know. But like I said, I think quitting is probably much easier. But damn, man, I know it sounds cliched, but I think sometimes the key is just not to quit. Just keep going. Figure shit out.
It was. I had every opportunity to go back to my day job. I had every opportunity to get back into the regular swing of things and get myself out of certain situations. I was evicted from my apartment maybe 8 blocks away from where we're at right now. And that's why it was important for me. Once I got evicted and went out to live and do other things, it was important for me to come back to the community to be that close. I was actually contemplating buying the apartment building just to be like, no, I'm back. Just my pettiness, but it's like, why? But just to know that I could,
just because you could,
just because, but that
you could.
you know. So that's why I'm back in that, and like right up the street, and it's nice because I drive by it all the time, and it's fun to drive by it because it reminds me of the things I sacrificed and where I got. So I did get evicted from that apartment. I wound up sleeping on my brother's balcony. That's a whole nother story. I had to sleep on my brother's balcony. He took me in, but that was the deal. I had to sleep on the balcony, put a little bed out there. Southern California, it wasn't too bad. But my car was about to get repoed. So every single thing said, dude, what are you doing? Go back to work. Go back to your regular day job. Because my day job at the time, I was selling cell phones. And I was making, you got to figure, in 1997, I was making about $5,000 a month. Because
Was it singular?
No, I was working for LA Cellular.
Okay.
The other company.
Right.
But because I was doing commission and sales, I was making a killing. You factor, that's probably like making like double that right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For a sales
Right
dude,
now,
a kid from the hood.
$5K back then is like freaking 15
Are you kidding?
right
Yeah.
now.
My rent was $350.
Stop
Yeah.
it.
So
Stop
so
it.
all I had was disposable income. I had a badass leather jacket from Wilson's House of Suede. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I had a badass what do you call it, pull-out system in my car. Like this back in the day.
You had the fucking.
Well, it was the face.
You press the button
As
and you would take.
the face
Oh
plate.
no, you were
Yeah,
fancy.
yeah.
I had the other one.
I had the
You
one
take
where you take the
thing,
whole, like the briefcase.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the briefcase.
You young people don't
They
know
don't
about that.
They don't know. But people would say back then, you know, because everybody kept saying, why don't you go back to work? Go back to. That's that part where it's like, all right, are you willing to be uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Are you willing to go through like struggle in order to get to that next place? How long are you willing to live in the trenches and feel uncomfortable, but you know that you're doing what you love to do? Because every night I'm still getting up on stage. You know, at the end of the night I'm sleeping on a balcony, but I'm like, you know what? I chose this because I still get to go up on stage. I'm not punching in a clock. I'm not going to do the norm that's safe. And the scary part is because I was making so much money, that made me feel extra like, you know, like, oh, am I making the right choice? And then everyone was telling me how stupid I was because of the amount of money I was making. Mm-hmm. For a single guy back then in 1997 making that much money a month, like, dude, you know,
That's a lot of money.
Bro, I paid for cable. I didn't steal it like everyone else. I was paying for it.
Show off.
I was like, watch it.
We stole our shit.
I was like, yeah, ain't nobody showing up to unplug me today.
We had the black box. No, we didn't. And damn.
So are you willing to risk feeling uncomfortable? There's a lot of things that you got to go through in order to become successful in whatever it is that you want to do. You know,
But there has to be something there that didn't allow you to quit. Because you were making all that money and you were staying with your brother. So like, what was that determining factor that was like, no, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep doing this shit.
I loved being a comic so much. It's the greatest feeling. You get to get up in front of people, you change people's moods, you're making people laugh, you're connecting. Every insecurity I ever had, I took on stage and I flipped it. And I turned it not only into something that made me feel better about myself, but it also, you know, it changed my world. I wasn't going up there with the intent of, let me make these people laugh and make all this money. I never made it about the money. And I think a lot of times people get consumed with that. Like, oh, I got to make this money. It has to be about the money. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Then why are you doing? Are you doing it for the money? Is that really the driving factor? It wasn't for me because I said yes to every gig. People would offer me shows where I was making, sometimes it cost me money to go do it. I was doing it as a guest spot. But I'm driving to Brawley, I'm driving to freaking Stockton, I'm driving to all these places in California where it's like, that's a 6, 7, 8 hour drive. And I would do it just for 10 minutes of stage time because of the love of it. And I think because I loved it so much, and you can feel when an artist truly is passionate and loves what they do versus they're just doing it because they know they're good at it and they can make money. It's a different feeling. And I think, I think people can see it and feel it. And that's why, for me, I just wanted to get up on stage. And that in itself made me feel like I was successful, even though I was sleeping on a balcony, sharing a balcony with a parakeet, because my brother had a parakeet on the balcony. So I would talk to the parakeet.
He became your best friend?
He became my best friend.
You tell him all your problems? Like, hey, fool,
anything,
guess what happened
anything
today,
and everything,
fool?
you know?
I drove 7 hours for
7
$15.
hours. And by the way, everything that I was doing at the time made no sense to anyone, because anyone who's logical and thinks that the norm is going to look at what I'm doing as something that, like, dude, what's wrong with you? ¿Estás bien? You're going to drive all these hours. That's going to cost you this much in gas. Something could happen to you, but you're going to go out there for 10 minutes y no te van a pagar. As a matter of fact, you got to pay. Like, why? You know, it does not make sense. But you can't explain when you're passionate. That's what passion is. You know, dude, I would go through all that again. I would sleep on people's couches. There was times I didn't even have a hotel room. And I would just go out and do shows. I said yes to everything. I was performing on the backs of pickup trucks in empty swimming pools. I was performing in an empty swimming pool, like remember those old school movies with Jean-Claude Van Damme? Van Damme?
Hell
where he's
yeah,
fighting somebody like kickboxer,
Yeah.
and they're fighting in an empty swimming pool. I remember being in the bottom of the swimming pool, and the guy that got me to perform inside the swimming pool sold the idea that you're not working with a microphone. You're just using the acoustics of the pool, and everyone
it
will
could
stand
echo.
on the rim, and everyone will hear you. And I'm and I'm
chingues.
like, oh, okay then, you know. And I was working for like $40, and they'll feed me. That's basically. And I thought, if I'm getting food out of it too, I'm like, hombre, it don't get better.
But it had to be tacos, though? Unos pinches taquitos?
Dude, you'd be amazed at the meals that I got to participate in.
But I think that...
That's the love that I had for it, and that's why I think that, you know, sometimes when you focus on the money, because I gave up money to do what I was doing, but because it made me feel so much better, it was so validating, and it just felt incredible, and I knew that it was not something that just any person could do. So that in itself also made me feel like, okay, you know.
But that's a big I think that having that mindset got you where you're at now, because you delayed everything. Like, all right, it's not about the money, it's about the craft. And
if you're good at what you do, everything will come. Because I get a lot of people, hey man, how do I get a manager? You don't go looking for them, they will find you. How do I find representation? Keep doing what you're doing. Word will travel, they will find you. If you go looking for someone, you're going to find someone, and it's going to be the wrong one.
Damn.
My agent.
That's a great fucking point.
My agent, I've had the same agent for 20 plus years. I've only had one agent. And he found me at the Improv. And that was after I already had years under my belt of performing. And he saw me, and we started talking at the bar, and he gave me his card. And been with them ever since.
How long did it take for you to get for a manager to reach out to you?
I'd say about 3 years. But I know some people are hearing this and like, okay, 3 years is what I got to do. No, that was my speed. Okay, everyone is different in this game. I'll give you an example. Kevin Hart came out. My agent called me and he said, "Hey man, there's this guy Kevin Hart, and he's working on his Comedy Central special." And by then, I already had a 1 hour. I had that and a 1 hour special under my belt, and I was headlining in San Francisco. And he's like, this guy Kevin, he wants to work on his Comedy Central special, blah blah blah, this and that. Can he perform on your show? I didn't know who Kevin Hart was, and at the time he wasn't who Kevin Hart. He was just a comic. So I said, yeah, sure, send him out, and I'll have. And I watched him. I'm like, yeah, dude is funny. He's really funny. And again, Kevin has less years than I do doing this, and he passed everyone. And you know, it was one of those things where, like, I can say that Kevin opened my show one time. I can say that he was my opener one time. And then, poof, he took over comedy. So everyone has a different speed. And you shouldn't try to measure yourself against others in this business. Everyone, it's different.
You're right. But I think some people, especially like the younger comics, probably think, oh, well, if Gabe did it in 3 years, I could do it in 2. And it's like, well, you have to be it
Maybe
could be
you
done.
can. maybe you can.
But you have to be very
Can you
talented.
stay there?
Oh,
Can you stay there? The hardest part isn't getting there. The hardest part is staying there.
I agree. Let's elaborate on that. I think people put 1,000% in their craft to get there, and once they get there,
They get lazy.
they go on cruise control,
Complacent.
and mess it all up.
Plateau.
Do you think that's more common than what we think?
I think
Or-
that's just human nature. Once you get to, why are you going to continue to push yourself as hard? I know for me, I don't work the same way that I used to. I used to do 5 days a week.
I heard.
I would do a club, man, and I'd go there Wednesday, Thursday, 2 shows Friday, 3 shows Saturday, 1 show Sunday. Then I started adding a second show Sunday, and then I started adding Monday. So it's like at a certain point, I'm like, hey man, this hurts. And I was doing a meet and greet after every single one of those shows. And so when my meet and greet was done, I'd have to go back inside, and literally we'd time it where I'd have to just go right back up on stage and then come back out and then do that same meet and greet again and then go back. Like I would be on my feet the whole time. And
How
so
would you do it?
I was younger, and the drive was different. That's why I said, now I'm down to 3 shows a week, maybe 4.
Okay.
So it's not the same drive. I mean, I'm still excited to do it, and I still work very hard, but I'm not killing myself the way that I used to. But I'm doing enough to where I can still grow.
But I think you're in the position in your career where you could take it a little bit easier. You already put on the legwork.
But I'm also, I also have that mindset where I'm like, if I stop doing this, you got to use it or lose it, because there's always someone else coming up. I always feel like someone's gonna take my job. Me van a quitar el jale, güey. It's like,
Mi madre, güey.
yeah,
Vamos a trabajar más,
there's
cabrones.
always the next guy coming up, the next person coming up. And I think that if you keep that in your mind, like, okay, I got to stay in the game, even if it's just this much, because it's that fear.
Yeah.
There is that competitive part where there's
I think that plays a big factor.
You have to have
You
that.
have to have a competitive edge. I mean, not to the extreme, but there has to be.
You don't got to
that.
be a dick about it.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
But you
That's what I was trying to say.
you gotta have something in you that keeps you out there.
Yeah. If you could give these young comics some advice, which I think you're in a position to give some of these people some advice, what would be some of the things that you would tell them to do if they want to reach fluffy status?
The problem with me giving advice, and I've said this, I said this on TV one time. I was talking about how I was trying to help out one of my friends with not only his show, but the way he was portraying himself on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're going about it the wrong way. You shouldn't do that. That's not you. That doesn't feel right. Because I was looking at it through my eyes, not what he was doing. It made sense for me, but it didn't make sense for him. And I was getting frustrated. Like, why isn't he listening to what I'm telling him? I've been doing this longer than he has, and I'm
fluffy.
I've got I've checked all these boxes. Why isn't he not listening? The awesome part is that he saw something I didn't, and he was more self-aware about what he was trying to do than I was. And I said, well, all right, then, he was one of my openers, and he broke off, started doing his own thing. And I said, listen, man, I want you to know I support you. You're going to go out, you're going to do your own thing. That's awesome. If this doesn't work out, hey, let's talk and see about, you come back to this. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, dude just freaking took off, is killing it, selling out every single show. He's about to record a special. He doesn't even need to record a special because he mastered something I couldn't. He mastered doing these viral videos and building that, which is something that I appreciate that I can still learn. Yeah. But I'm stubborn. And I'm like, nope, you don't know everything. And so me giving advice to someone, I feel like it would be a disservice because it's coming from only one opinion, and I don't know that it's going to be what works for me might not work for you.
I think maybe whatever it is that they choose to pursue or whatever strategy they have, just be all in on it, 100%.
But I
think I know who you're talking about, and he's popping off.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll say
like-
it. Alfred Robles.
Yeah, he's
Alfred
popping the
Robles
fuck off.
is incredible.
He just learned how to master that freaking.
I hated his
Those-
cowboy hat. I hated it. I'll tell everybody out there, I thought that cowboy hat was the stupidest shit ever. You know, this from someone who wears a hat. But he saw something I didn't. He understood that what he was trying to do, and I didn't understand it. And so once I saw it, and I'm like, oh my God, all right, okay. So I have no problem saying it that because I was wrong. And not a lot of people will admit that. Not a lot of people will take a step back because their ego won't let them. Yeah. But Alfred's been an incredible friend from day one. And I was just trying to look out for him. But again, he saw something I didn't. So for me to give advice, it's scary. Because, I can't write a joke for you. I can't tell you the best way to hold a microphone or teach stage presence. It's one of those, you either got it or you don't. I can tell you, hey, move the microphone out of your way when you're talking in front of people, so you don't, do that one right there. But I would rather not give advice. If anything, I'll say is if you really want this, don't be in a rush to get there. Mm-hmm. It's okay to take your time because you're going to learn a lot along the way. I will leave it at that. But Alfred's killing it.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Freaking Alfred.
No, big perro.
I love you, bro. Still hate the hat, but man, you're kicking ass, so I can't hate.
I fucking watch all his clips. That shit's like a novela.
His shows are
Dude,
something
he's
else.
like, my cousin cheated que con este, que el otro. I'll be like, oh shit, this got good.
Alfred's shows are it's an event because it's like he goes out and he'll perform, he'll do his set, and then he opens up the freaking, what's going on in your world, and man, you sit there and you could
We become chismosos.
Every
right?
single show is different. And who in comedy can say that every single show, unless you're just doing nothing but straight up crowd work, but Alfred goes up on stage every night and he delivers a full set, a stand-up set. So you're getting a solid comic performing, doing a show, and then he opens up that extra door where it's like, all right, here we go. Because, a lot of times when you have certain people around you and they see your show every night, they're like, okay, you can hear, all right, I know, okay, he says this joke. You can start timing it. Okay, he's got about 15 minutes left, this and that. But when you're doing a show like Alfred's, you could sit there and watch every single one, and you're just like,
it's different.
Oh, dude.
It's super different.
So, again, no pun intended, my hat's off to you. Alfred, keep killing it.
Doing your thing,
keep
bro.
doing your thing, man.
I look at this room, and I see so many memorable pictures, brother. It's inspiring.
Thank you.
Which one do you think is the most, how can I put it? Because they're all pretty amazing. Which one is like a highlight for you?
Right behind you, up on the wall right there, it's a picture of Robin Williams and myself.
Yeah.
I got to work with him one time. I worked with him one time. It was at the Comedy Magic Club. He crashed my show.
Okay.
It was freaking
Robin
awesome.
Williams crashed the show.
Robin Williams crashed
How
my
dope
show.
is that?
It was very dope, and I'm glad I got that picture and I had that moment, and I can say, I spoke to him for maybe 2 minutes, and then they came and grabbed him and took him out, and but I had that moment, so I'm glad I got to get that picture.
That's the first one that I spotted.
I used to have a show once a month at the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. Mm-hmm. The last Tuesday of every month, I would go and do a show there, and I would work out material. I'd think of all these things that I wanted to talk about, and that was basically my work it out material, work it out show. And I'd have friends on the show, and it was a good time. It was Tuesday. So I get a call from the manager, Richard, who's still the manager there, and he's like, "Hey, Gabe, is your show booked?" And I go, "Yeah, it is. Why?" He goes, "Well, I had somebody that wanted to see about stopping in and working out some material." I go, "Well, if you want me to make room on the show, make room on the show." He goes, "That's great, Gabe. Listen, they've got a request, though." I go, "What's the request?" They want to know if they can go on after you. I said, "After me?" I go, that's weird.
That's a weird request.
That's a weird request because on a show, whose ever name is on the ticket or on the marquee or on the flyer, that's who goes last. To go on after that person would be considered like, disrespectful. Like that's the closer. It's
Makes
their
sense.
show. So anyone else has to come before that. So I said, "All right, Richard, I'm assuming it's a name. because very famous people have performed at the Comedy Magic. And he goes, yes. I said, okay, who wants to go up? He goes, that's the thing. They asked me not to say who it is. I go, Richard, it's my show, dude. It's me. We've known each other forever. I go, just tell me who it is. I'm not going to tell anybody. Gabe, I gotta respect the wishes. So if you're cool with it, it's going to be a name, but, you know, they're going to go on after you. And I go, Richard, just tell me who it is. He goes, Gabe, all you have to know is if you ever have a secret, now you know I can keep it. I'm like, what kind of third grade shit is that? So I was pissed, but now I'm like curious. So I'm like, all right, this better be good. So then I go and, you know, everyone goes up first, and then I hit the stage, and then Richard's like, I'll send, you know, I'll take a napkin up to you and let you know when. And sure enough, you know, I'm telling the crowd, because he flashed me, and I go, oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to cut my set short. We got a special guest. And the crowd's like, no.
No, Fluffy, don't go.
Yeah, because I was up there maybe 25 minutes.
Fine.
And I already know who's coming up. And I said, trust me, when you find out who's coming up here, you're going to forget all about me. And they're like, no. And I go, watch this. And I go, ladies and gentlemen. And I said, please help me welcome to the stage. And then I said it, Robin Williams. And the whole room was like, shut up. No one believed me. No one clapped. No one reacted. No one was like, oh, my God, because it sounded so like, come on, bro. And so I turn around, because the curtain's right behind. I turn around to kind of like welcome them out. And no one's walking out. No one's coming out. I'm just standing there looking stupid. And then I see Richard, the manager, standing under the exit sign. And I'm like, oh, you mother. Because we would play practical jokes on each other.
Oh,
and I thought, like, oh, this fool just got me. And then he's like, and I'm like, what? I didn't realize it, but Robin Williams was standing behind me. You know, I didn't see him because he was standing behind me, and the crowd didn't see him because he was behind me. So as soon as they saw him, they went crazy. I mean, it was so loud. It's like people just saw, it was like a religious experience. People are crying. And then I went behind the curtain, and I just kind of peeked, and I watched him do an hour because he was getting ready for his HBO special. And I was right. As soon as he got out there and the people started going crazy, they were like, you know, fuck Fluffy. They didn't care about me at all. And I was like, nope, that's Robin.
What year was this?
Ooh, I think it says it on the T-shirt that I'm wearing in the picture. I'm not sure. It might say it on the T-shirt. No? Based on the amount of hair on my head.
I was going to say, you had a lot of hair, bro.
Yeah, because look at that.
Hombre.
Yeah, it's all good. That was at least 15 years ago.
Wow.
At least.
Robin Williams, brother.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And he was one of the comics that I studied and I idolized when I was young. It was him, Robin Williams, and Paul Rodriguez.
Paul Rodriguez was big. I agree. He's probably one of the first ones that I've seen that looked like me.
Mm-hmm. He was the first comic that I actually went to go watch here in Long Beach. Excuse me, my sister took me to go see him at the Carpenter Performing Arts Center. Small little theater right there by my old elementary school. But it's at Cal State.
Okay. Yeah, man. Robin Williams is crazy to me. But imagine it would have been a prank. You would have been like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
No, that would have been a good prank. And I was very lucky at that club. I got a chance to work with Robin. I got a chance to open up for George Carlin. You know, I've had a couple of really cool opportunities like that. I got to open for George Carlin twice.
And how was that experience?
Oh, it was awesome. He was so nice to talk to, and he definitely was a huge fan, not just of being able to convey a message in such a way where it made you think. He just loved comedy, so he could sit and appreciate all kinds of different comedy, and so I really like that, and that he took the time. You know, it wasn't me trying to go and, can I talk to you? He went out of his way to come and say hi, and just be like Carlin, and I'm just staring at him, and I'm like, I can only imagine what that must have looked like to him. But it was so nice.
I think your comedy is probably some of the most cleanest, I would say. Is it by strategy, or do you think did you choose for it to be that way, or I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
You are. I know.
You know?
I know exactly what you're trying to say. That was a conscious decision. I actually made that choice years ago because I used to be really dirty. I used to just cuss. Every other word was just cussing.
F-bombs everywhere?
F-bombs everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, I was performing at the. It was at the time. It was called Gotham. It was a Mexican restaurant nightclub. It used to be called Prime Cut. Then they called it Wild Coyote. Then they call it Tortillas.
Is that the one in Montebello?
That's the one in Montebello.
Oh shit!
So
20 names?
Yeah, it had 20 names. Every other year, the dude had issues with taxes, so he changed the names. But yeah. When I'd go up there for 5 to 10 minutes, and it was a lot of screaming and cussing. One of the comics called me Mexican, Sam Kinison. He goes, dude, you're just screaming the whole time. And then, I stopped the screaming, and then I just kind of, toned that down, but I was still cussing a lot. Okay. And so I get pulled aside by a comic named Joey Medina. Joey Medina's been around forever. He's done movies. He directs movies. He's a comedian. Used to be a boxer. He's a great history, a background, He pulled me aside and he goes, hey, can I talk to you, kid? And I was annoyed that he called me kid, but I was. In hindsight, I was a freaking kid. I was like 20, 21.
Like, who the fuck is calling kid?
Yeah, I'm like I can drink. He said, you're really funny. He said, I'm going to give you some advice, and it's funny considering the fact that Joey cusses a lot in his show. But he said, if you were to clean up your set and stop the cussing, he goes, you're very likable, and you can't teach that. You're just naturally a likable comedian. It hurts you to start to be cussing and being vulgar and talking about topics that, because you do have he said, you have something. You're very, very likable. He goes, that's huge. If you work clean, when you get an opportunity, he goes, and you will, because they're going to see what kind of a comic you are, you don't have to change your set for television. A lot of times comics are dirty and they get an opportunity to be on the Tonight Show and they're like, okay, you just got to take off the F-bomb. You can't say this, can't say this, can't say that. And then it changes the feel of their joke and their confidence. But if you're already used to working clean, you don't have to change anything.
So it's like in essence, you were TV ready.
I was TV ready, yeah. And so the best advice I ever got in comedy was work clean. But again, that worked for me. And so I tell people all the time, that might not work for you. There's comics out there that do very well, and they cuss and they talk about things that I would never talk about because I'd get canceled. But me working clean turned out to be the best decision ever. And now I make it a point, every single special, if you watch from the first one to now, I make it a point to cuss one time in every special really hard, just so that I can't be considered G-rated. So every single special, I drop one F-bomb, minimum one F-bomb.
That's crazy.
So I tell everybody, I don't work clean, I work friendly, which is why I'm able to do shows at, fairs or corporate events.
But I think when you started, it wasn't like it is now. It wasn't. Now you have freaking Cardi B getting all these. I mean, she's not a comedian, but I'm saying like in terms of her using all kinds of crazy raps and stuff, and still getting endorsements. So it's not as frowned upon as it was back then.
It's not
now.
As
Some people
upon.
are getting some freaking, and I'm just like, how? This girl's talking about, crazy shit, and I'm like, so do you think things have changed?
What they're looking at, what sponsors, what people in the business are looking at isn't, are you wholesome? Can we sell you to advertisers? They're looking at how far do you move the needle? How far do you move the needle? How many followers do you have? What is the draw to people? And they're like, you know what? We can hire this girl who doesn't cuss in her songs and is real wholesome and everything, but she's got 1,500 followers. Or this girl right here has 30 million, but she talks about her WAP. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
She talks about some
about
nasty shit.
Yeah. Get a bucket. Get a mop.
Yes. Stop. and
So-
Pepsi sponsored her. And I'm like, whoa, whoever this big.
Someone had to be that bridge in between and say to whoever it was, because you got to figure, all these people that run these big businesses, it's not usually some young guy. It's always some older dude who, has been around forever. And you got to be able to, hey, look, we've always done it a certain way, but this is what's happening. This is the evolution. This is what's popular. This is what's trending now. And you got to show the powers that be. Yeah. This is what we stand to gain, or we can go continue to do what you've done, but it might not be as, the same.
But do you think that dilutes talent? Because now they're just really focused on views and this and that. Like, do you think
they're not looking for what's going to be the best fit. They're looking at what the numbers. They're focused on the numbers. Which is why a lot of social media influencers who just have a large their following can get themselves into certain situations because they're banking on the eyeballs that person's going to bring in.
And that's why I think certain comedy spots are allowing certain individuals with a heavy following.
Absolutely.
Because it wasn't like that before, right?
No, you had to be an established comic to get your own night. Like when I got that last Tuesday of the month at the Comedy and Magic Club, that is like the most exclusive club. And by the way, you got to work clean at the Comedy and Magic. You can't. You don't see comics that are filthy performing there. Even still, Mike has Lacey. He holds a certain. You gotta go in there. He has Leno, Seinfeld. He's got these big names in there, and everybody goes there to work out their sets for the Tonight Show, for all these late night talk shows, morning shows. They go work it out there because they know the people that come out to see those shows are like a TV crowd. Mm-hmm. But now if you got a following, it doesn't matter what you say on stage. If you can put asses in seats, that's all anybody cares about now. So part of me feels like, well, should I change my show? Should I, all of a sudden go into different veins that I've never touched? But at the same time, I feel like if I do that now, after almost 30 years, am I deceiving my audience? The people that have stuck with me from day one, that are filling up the Dodger stadiums and not the SoFis, they follow me because I'm a certain way. And if I were to all of a sudden get political or start talking about real nasty things or being very opinionated. People say, oh, well, Gabriel Iglesias, he's funny, he does characters and stuff like that, but he doesn't say anything real. Well, what is it you consider real? He doesn't give his opinion on X, Y, Z, but what I do brings people in to see the shows because I get them away from X, Y, Z. I'm not reminding them about what's in the news. I'm not reminding them that they need to get out there and vote. I'm not reminding them that they're making questionable choices in their lives. I'm there to entertain. That's my lane, and that's worked very well. And so I try to stay to that. But part of me feels like if the fans all of a sudden weren't coming to the shows anymore, and people are dropping off, and it's like, okay, he was in the stadium, back at the arena, now he's at the theater, now he's back at the club, now he's doing one night a week, now he's back at the Mexican restaurant where he first started. I might have to start cussing again. Just saying. I might have to start.
I just think that it's working for you. So,
and I also feel like after so many years, it's almost like a at this point it's the legacy tour. It's like we've done. I could walk away if I want to, or I can stay in this world or move on to something else.
I just think you've reached so much success that you don't need to make adjustments at this point in your career. Like if it's working, it's worked, and it's continuing to work. Why would you give opinions on politics, or why would you do this, or why would you do it? Why would you do that? To me, it doesn't make sense. You're still, bro, you're about to sell out SoFi. So whatever it is, it's working, and I'm with you 100%. Like you don't need to now. If things were changing and fans weren't showing up,
that would make sense.
Then you have to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, well maybe I need to make some changes. But thus far, I think you're doing pretty good, brother.
Thank you.
So,
and I'm always on my social media reading comments and because you'd be doing yourself a disservice to not look and see what people are saying. And if it's a one-off comment, like something just hateful, unless you see that exact same comment mentioned a couple times, then you can go, all right, what did I say or do that triggered that? Got that reaction right there. And then you have to do the math of like, okay, well, how many people feel that way? You got to go start going back in your stuff. And then it's like, okay, no matter what, you can't please everyone. You cannot please everyone. And I get a lot of people that will come after me and they're like, how come you're not using your platform to do this? How come you're not using your platform to do that? How come you're not, helping this cause? How come you're not helping that? I get a lot of that every single day.
Oh, so do I, bro.
But then it's like, I don't want to have to disclose, I'm doing this type of charity work, or I make these kinds of donations, or I do this with my spare time. Because then you're putting it out there that you do these certain things, and then you just draw more people in. And like, well, if he's helping this cause, he'll help mine, And so you open that door up. And I think that if you're doing something to help others, it shouldn't be about getting the views. I don't want to promote all these charities that I work with, because I'm not trying to be like, see what I'm doing? I'm helping this cause, and I'm doing this over here. Because I feel a lot of times they're doing it to just get the views. If you're going to help someone, just help someone to help them. Don't make it a hey, talking to the mic, tell me your story. Talk about your life. Why does it suck? Here's some money. Oh, we're going to take you to Disneyland. Come on, let's go to Disneyland. I'm going to take you to Disneyland, and we're going to give you some money. And see, all right.
I think your good deeds should be with you and God.
That's it. Nobody needs to see.
If you're going to do a good deed and take a camera with you and then fucking post it and then want all these views and want a pat on the back, I think you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Now let's get back to the episode.
So all the good deeds that you do,
no one needs to know about.
Between you and God.
No one needs to know about them.
Like why, And I think we're in the era of entitlement. Social media is making people entitled. And what do I mean by that? Now they're telling you what to do with your platform. Now they're telling you to do. That shit pisses me off. I just made a video about it. I was like, it irks me that you have the balls to send me a message and say that I need to do this. You don't pay none of this. Mm-mm. Like, you don't have no say on it. So that's my piece on it.
Yeah, no.
And I think this is you. This is your platform. It's not theirs. And I also think there's a way to reach out to somebody and give some advice. The delivery is very important. These people are just way off the handle, brother, on the way they say things.
Very abrasive.
Oh,
very.
my God,
there's no tact.
So
there's no.
So disrespectful. Like, what's wrong with these people?
Every day.
But I agree with you, bro.
And it's hard to, it's easy to say, oh, just brush it off. Don't pay no never minds to it. Don't worry about it. But the problem is like, I care. I care. That's why I read these comments. I care. That's why I, do the type of show that I do, So I'm not trying to upset people, but I realize no matter what I do, some people are still going to be
don't think, sometimes you're never going to win on social media.
Yeah.
I came to that conclusion because I like to let people speak their piece, and I will never be like, oh, well, we can't talk about that. I'm like, oh, shit, you brought it up. I guess we're going to talk about it, And people disagree with some of the things that somebody has to say, and I'm just like, but it's just the way the approach is just out of control sometimes, you know what I mean?
And a lot of times you get trolled, man. I got, sucked into a lot of conversations I didn't need to have publicly online. And every now and then someone will still say something, and I'm just like, I'll write it, and then I'll delete it, and I'm like, people are going to be like, he wrote it, then he deleted it, and now there's, because they're always watching, so I'm just like,
screenshotting shit. And
it's really hard not to. It's hard not to, because you're like, really? And it happens to everyone. I got a friend that I constantly have to remind him, hey, dude, just you're doing great things. Don't worry about this outside noise. Because I'm watching him fight with everybody on the internet. I'm like, bro, just
chill, bro. You're not going to win. Even if you're right.
Even if you're right. And that's the crazy part.
You could be right 1,000%. Mm-hmm. And you're going to argue with a pendejo that has no idea what he's talking about, but you're arguing with this person. It's like you can't win sometimes, brother. So, changing the conversation. I promised my daughter I was going to ask you this. How did you end up on Coco, bro?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what you were going to say.
Because I have small kids, so we watch Coco. Encanto. I watch them all. And she's like, oh, Fluffy's on Coco. And I was like, yeah, he is. I was like, I'm going to ask him, how did you get a role like that?
Someone over there at Pixar was a fan. I never auditioned for it. They reached out. They're like, oh, they flew me to Pixar, which is in Northern California. I went there to see the giant lamp, and then you're walking where they created Toy Story, where the Cars, where all these iconic Pixar Disney films were made, and you're just walking around. And it's like, oh my God, it was so cool. And to be there, because of the fact that the producers and people involved, they thought that I'd be a good fit because they were fans of my comedy. Again, going back to what kind of comedy is it that I'm doing? It's comedy that, they felt comfortable bringing this guy in to do a Disney movie. So, that's how I got that part.
Paid off. And it continues to pay off.
They brought me in for Coco, and they brought me in for Planes. I did a movie called Planes, which was like the spin-off of Cars. So I got to do that. It was really cool.
You've done a lot of those movies, like the voice roles. Like I seen the whole list. I'm like, damn.
The cool
Duffy's
part
done
with,
a lot of these.
Yeah, the cool part with voiceovers is it's so fast, and it's I bet on voiceover roles because I'm like, one of these is gonna just hit, or it's gonna lead to something that's gonna be like, wow. So I mean, I've done a lot of voices in movies, which is really cool. I enjoy that. My comedy is number one. Voiceovers is number two. I just recently got a chance to, do another Speedy Gonzalez role for an upcoming thing with Warner Brothers. So that's gonna hopefully go somewhere. But
so do they take you like in the studio and then you're like watching the movie and then you're just doing the voiceover? How does that work? Sometimes
you just read the script and they tell you, all right, give us more energy, give us less energy. Can you go high this way? Can you give it more? Can you slow down here? And you're performing according to what they're telling you while you're reading the lines. And then sometimes they've already done the movie and you have to sync up to the mouth. So you have to stay within the timing of it. Okay. So they have you there watching the role. And they're like, okay, you got to deliver this line with this much time. And then you watch it. And then you say it. And then they play it back. And little by little, you get the timing right. So I've done that, and I've done the other one. And we've done how many you think we've done here? Probably like 5, maybe more. We've done 5 movies here.
No way.
The back building. I have a studio here. And we've done...
This is a huge building,
They send over all the equipment. They set it up. And then I'm just talking to the director on a laptop. And we've done them here, which is really cool.
That's super dope. That's amazing.
But yeah, I don't say no. So if you have a project, if you got a project out there and you need a voiceover, hit me up.
I heard?
You okay?
All right. One of my last questions. You've sold out Dodger Stadium. You're about to sell out SoFi. Which venues? I mean, obviously you sold out arenas. But do you still like performing in small clubs?
I love it. I love it. You know what? When you're performing in a small club, you have people right on you. You know immediately if you're doing well. You know immediately if you're not doing well. A room that has 150 to 300 people in it is very different than an arena that has 10,000. If you're not doing well in an arena that has 10,000 people in it, let's say only 1,000 people think you're funny enough for them to laugh, it's still going to sound like you're killing when there's 1,000 people. 1,000 people laughing is still 1,000 people laughing. But reduce the math on that. If you're in a room and let's say you're at the Ice House and there's 150 people in there and only 15 people laugh, you're going to know and you're going to feel that. It's very intimate. I love being in a small room and being able to see everyone in the room. You can be a lot more vulnerable. You can take more chances in a smaller room. So it's just different. When you're in an arena, when you're inside of an arena, it's more of like, yes, look, everything you're doing is, what's up in the top? Everything is a reaction, and it's just so big. And you got screens behind you that are like freaking 30 feet high, and your face is just massive, and so everything is big over the top. But at a comedy club, it's just pure. It's just you, the microphone, and
It's
those
intimate.
couple hundred people in that room.
I love clubs. I mean, I've been to arenas and stuff like that, but to me, the small clubs are.
Yeah.
I love that feeling because it's more intimate. You're just right there, and you're gonna be able to know if you're bombing right away.
And because it's so confined, you can feel everything happening in the room. So if people get up to go pee, or their phone rings, or a server knocks, you can hear all of that, and it's very distracting. So if you can do your set and get all that noise out, and then also, can you survive the check drop? A lot of people don't know what the check drop is.
I don't even know what it is.
You're on stage. If you're supposed to do an hour, they'll drop the checks on everyone in the room right around the 45-minute mark. And they do that so people can pay their bill. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's a business. You're there to do your craft, but the club is there to sell drinks and food. And so they drop the checks on people. And that is the quickest way to get the entire room to stop paying attention to you. And so you're killing, they're laughing, and then the checks, servers are just dropping checks on all the tables. And then people are looking at these checks. Now they're not looking at you. And now they're like, I didn't order, but who ordered fucking nachos? They're like, hey, una quesadilla? No, hey, bro, I think this is yours. And so now you have a room full of people that just got, a sidetracked with this. You're taking money from them, so they're not even. I don't care what Fluffy's saying. Yeah, nice emotional story, but so you got to be able to weather that few minutes.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, you got to weather that few minutes, and you got to be ready to do things to elevate yourself for that moment, just so you can still be even with the crowd, because you can lose them on that one
Easily. Because they're distracted.
Yeah.
And
so I have a whole set dedicated to the check drop. So when the check drops, I turn on the set drop piece that lasts about 2-3 minutes, and all it is talking about how everyone's getting their check. And crack all the jokes according to what I would be saying if I was sitting there. You just got your check, huh, bro? And then when you're acknowledging that in the room, you're not trying to just perform through them. You're like,
inflation is crazy, huh?
You're reacting to what is happening in that moment, and people can appreciate that. And now it's a continued conversation. I saw your face change when you got that check, huh? And now they're sitting there and they're like, yeah, man, what the hell? I go, you're probably, and
What
so
the
there's
fuck is credit to Turi?
Yeah. They didn't even have gravy on it.
So,
But
okay.
so yeah, there's differences. The arena is incredible because you worked your ass off to get that following, to get that many people in a building. But at the end of the day, a comedy club audience can feel me, just emotionally and mentally just as good. And it's fun, and it reminds you, okay, you still got it.
I want to go see you like in one of those small venues. I mean, I'm gonna go to the big one too, but I would want to see you at the Ice House or Laugh Factory or something, because I think it's more intimate. That would be super dope.
I'm gonna crash a show tonight.
Where?
Yeah, Irvine.
Shit.
Are you gonna be at that one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
I guess I'm going.
It's Concrete, Jerry Garcia, Duno, and I think even Alfred's gonna go.
Okay. Well, we're going to.
So it's gonna
I'll
be a
just
good
go
time.
drop all this off because I can't roll with it. But one last question. At the end of the day, this is a business, right?
I knew I had to pay you. They're like, no, he's really nice. This is the part where you hit me with the Venmo and like, all right, bro. Hey, on the bottom, it's gonna ask you some questions at the bottom.
Hey, here's my tab, and he'd be like, it ain't so funny now. Nah, just kidding. There has to be a point when a comic takes off the comedian hat and puts on the business hat. Any advice for? No, I don't, because I don't think it will apply to everybody. When is it an appropriate time for them to be like, all right, this is going really well for me. I need to make these changes financially to better prepare myself for the future. Once they start getting, because I think a lot of people start making money and they don't know how to deal with
Manage
those
it.
big ass checks. And I think that's a problem, not just in my business, but just in general. Like, when do you have to get a financial advisor, somebody to help you with that money, because it could be a lot.
I remember years ago, I used to talk about how when you are in sports, if you're an athlete, and let's say you're a baseball player, a football player, a basketball player, if you sign a multi-million-dollar deal, they put you in a classroom with someone who's going to try to at least let you know your life's about to change. Before you start going out buying cars and buying, jewelry for some girl or blowing this money on a party, let me show you what happens when you get this money, because it's important that people understand that just because, let's say, you're getting $1 million, you're not getting $1 million. It's important that someone teaches you, hey, that $1 million after taxes, you're probably getting a little less than half of that. And then if you have representation, the representation is going to take a percentage. Manager, an agent, let's say you got a publicist, they get a piece too. And if you got a financial person, they get a piece too. So by the time that $1 million is all said and done, you're probably leaving with $200,000. And so you have to learn, don't act like you have $1 million. You need to act like you have $200,000. So they're not telling you invest your money in X, Y, Z. They just want you to be more realistic of what you actually have, because the public is gonna see one thing, and you're gonna actually feel the difference. But you need to know that it's this, and you need to know that because you're in a different tax bracket, you're gonna start paying this, and this. So they put you in these classrooms to teach you about what's about to happen and how money works, because most people don't get an education on the handling of finances. When you're a comic, there's no classroom. There is no school you go to where they sit you down and they go, look, Fluffy, you just, last year you were making 40,000. This year you might break $1 million. So you might not want to go out and buy 2 Hummers and go spend all kinds of money at Denny's and go Wilson's House of Suede and buying leather jackets and buying iPhones for everybody. Because I did that. I went out and I bought 2 pinchy Hummers. One Hummer was more than enough.
Fluffy, you bought Hummers, bro. And the 2000, did you have spinners, bro?
Se me salió lo rapper. I went out there and, oh my God. 2 Hummers, rims. They had rims. I put rims on all the Hummers, all of them, because I had multiples. I put DirecTV in the cars. That had a satellite on it. I had PlayStations in the car, so you could play PlayStation from any seat. So we had Guitar Hero in the back seat, and then on the visors, there's TVs. There's a TV in the mirror.
You were ready for a rap video.
Money can make you just do stupid shit out the gate. And so when I see these people, anybody, come into money that didn't have money, I can't get upset, because I'm like, you know what? I could tell them something, but you have to go through it. You have to go through it. And then you learn later on, I probably shouldn't. I could have just done with 1 Hummer, but I needed 2. And it was just, I did a lot of dumb shit. And I was lucky that I was pulled aside by a man by the name of Robert Hartman, who's one of the owners, part of the Improv franchise and business. And he introduced me to my business manager that I have now. Before that business manager, I had a business manager, or not even a business manager. I had an accountant in Montebello. Oh my God! And this person, they were, they were special. I was writing off every single Jack in the Box meal. I was writing off everything. Like at the end, I got back money every year. And
because you were just full of deductions.
And people were like, you're supposed to pay money.
Not everything's a deduction, Fluffy.
So, yeah, the first couple of years when you're doing it the wrong way, I was getting money back. And then once I got a real business manager who understood artists and just the business, I had to pay a lot of money back. And so I got audited for 5 years in a row. And when you get audited, you don't want to be audited.
No, you don't.
And so it did take a while. It took me burning money to learn my lesson. And I was lucky that I continued to work and money continued to come in, which allowed me to have that cushion. Mm-hmm. But if it was just a one-time thing, I would have definitely lost everything I had, because I was just being stupid and just going out there and having fun. which isn't bad
But you
either.
were young.
But I was young. You got to remember, I started making serious money by the time I was 23. I probably made my first million at 23.
A
Which is
23-year-old.
yeah. Imagine a 23-year-old right now. Toma, $1 million. How are you gonna act? So I can't get upset at this, new generation or someone that comes into a lot of money, because it will make you stupid.
That guy over there, you see that handsome young man over there? He's my cousin. I give him the most sound advice ever. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that, we need to, do this for free. Because I want him to win, and it's very important. Because, eventually large amounts of money are going to start coming in, and you need to understand the way this shit works. So, you could be fluffy status, you know what I mean? That's what I think.
So I will tell you, and I'll take a little bit of credit, not all of it, because he's his own man and he does his own thing. But I think that all those years that Alfred was on the road with me, he saw the types of things that would come across my table, and mistakes that I would make, things that I would do, things that would work, things that wouldn't work. And I think that once the money started hitting hard for him, because it was literally like, dude's making I'm not going to put his business out there, but
that shit changed fast.
It hasn't made him spin. And I've been watching him, and he's been extremely just, I don't know if responsible is the right word for it. Being careful not to do anything.
Careful, but it has a lot to do with
he's already seen what it can do. Don't get me wrong,
but it has a lot to do with his surroundings and him being around you for so long. So I agree with that, because the people that are around you, especially if they're making a lot of freaking money and they're managing it well, you need to pay attention. And obviously he did. So thank God for him.
I like that he immediately, once the money started, changing, got himself a good business manager, someone to watch this from the get.
That's dope.
Instead of waiting until, because he's like me, man. He wanted to write off all them Jack in the Box meals. And come on, man, bacon cheddar potato wedges back in the day. I was like, hey, yeah,
bacon potato wedges.
I was working on a deal while eating those. I
worked at Jack in the Box for like a month back in the days when I was like 17. But all right, man.
When you're doing business and doing something that you love, you got to ride that fine line, because you're doing what you do, you're good at what you do, but at the same time you gotta have at least an understanding of the business side, because if you don't, you're gonna find yourself in a really bad place. George Carlin, as incredible as he was as a writer and as a performer and just this iconic legend of a comedian, was horrible with money, and he had a lot of bad things that happened because he wasn't more careful with the business. And you hear these horror stories where it's like, Uncle Sam is coming and taking your house, and you're getting arrested, or you got to pay fines because you were not, like Red Fox was another one. Red Fox had
Wesley Snipes.
So I have all these shows and opportunities and money coming in, and you're not managing it correctly, and
just like we said earlier, right, about success is, making it and then staying there. Making money and keeping the money.
Two different things.
Two different things.
Two different things.
So that goes hand in hand as well. Any questions?
I hope everyone enjoyed this TED Talk.
This was like a therapy session kind of too.
I know, right?
This is how I want to close this. I was here for Super Bowl.
Oh, so we started already?
2 hours later? I was here for Super Bowl. Just so you know, I was his +1, right? So I was here for Super Bowl. So you kind of ruined every other Super Bowl party that I'm ever going to be invited to, because it was the most amazing Super Bowl party I've ever been to.
Thank you.
It was coordinated well. Like, you had the food on this side and the desserts and then the coffee. I don't know. I'm a foodie. And I left really inspired when I left here. And I had told him, you know what? I'm going to buy me like not this big, But I was like, I'm going to get a compound because it's just, I left so fucking motivated. And we closed escrow in May. So
congratulations,
you
man.
didn't know that you inspired it, but now you know. So True Hustle Studios was inspired by all this, brother. It motivated me so much, and I don't think you realize it, but now you know that when I left here, I was like fucking driving home like, I gotta do this, and I gotta do that, and like, look, we're gonna be the only podcast with a compound, and it just pumped me up so much. We're working on it now. It should be done in 2 months.
Congratulations.
And I want to thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I left really motivated, and I want you to continue shining and continue to bless other people because I know you put a lot of people on. And that, to me, is the testament of true success. Now you're blessing others. You don't have to be doing the things that you do sometimes with these upcoming comedians. And to me, that is the true testament of real success. And I hope you sell out SoFi, and then once you do that, you go to bigger stages, and I wish you tons of success, my brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss our weekly episodes. Let's go, baby.